Under a sky the color of a dying ember, the land stretched out in broken gold and shadow. Wind combed the grass in slow, restless waves, carrying the smell of dust, horse sweat, and something faintly metallic, like rain that would never come. The sun leaned low, bleeding its last light into the jagged teeth of the mountains. The rider came from the north, a silhouette cut against the glare. His horse moved like it understood silence was safer than speed. The man wore his hat low, shadow covering eyes that had spent too many years watching the wrong kind of dying. His coat hung heavy over one shoulder, stiff where the leather had been darkened by old blood. A crow circled above him, the sound of its call sharp enough to split the quiet. He didn't look up. In the shallow wash ahead, something shifted, just a tremor in the grass. He reined in without a word, scanning. The wind held its breath. Then he saw her. She lay twisted in the dust, hair tangled and dark as wet earth, skin burned raw from the sun. Her dress was torn to the waist on one side, the fabric clinging damp to her ribs. Her breath came shallow, lips cracked open around a word that didn't carry. He swung down from the saddle, boots sinking into the soft grit. "You alive?" His voice was flat, the question more habit than hope. She blinked once, slow, as if the effort cost her. Closer now. He saw the streaks of blood, the bruises along her arms, some yellowing with age, some fresh. Apache, by her features and the beadwork, still clinging to the ruin of her belt, not from anywhere near here. Her gaze slid to the revolver at his hip, then to his hands. The way she looked at him, measuring, weighing, it wasn't the look of a helpless woman. "You ride?" he asked. She gave no answer. He could feel the heat bleeding off her skin in the cooling air. She wouldn't last an hour out here. With a muttered curse, he knelt, slid his arms under her. She made a sound, small but sharp, as he lifted her, her fingers curling instinctively into his coat. He set her across the saddle, climbed up behind, and turned south toward the dim outline of Cotton Bend. The trail wound through stone and scrub. Coyotes sang somewhere to west, their calls pulling at the edges of the dark. The woman stirred once, mumbling in a language he only half knew. He caught the sound of one word, one he hadn't heard in years. It made his jaw tighten. By the time they reached the outskirts of town, lantern light was winking alive in the windows. He cut through the back alleys, keeping her face hidden. Folks here had long memories and short patience. He took her to the livery first. Jonas, the stableman, was oiling tack when they came in. He froze mid-motion, eyes narrowing. "You bring me trouble, Colt?" Colt ignored him, lowering the woman onto a bed of clean straw in the corner stall. "She needs water." Jonas set the oil can down slow. "That ain't no town gal. You know what folks will say if... They won't say a damn thing if they don't see her." Colt's voice was quiet, but the kind that didn't leave room for argument. Jonas studied him a long moment, then spat into the dirt. "Ain't doing this for you." He brought over a bucket. The woman drank in short, desperate swallows, eyes never leaving Colt. When Jonas was gone, Colt crouched beside her. Who did this? Her lips parted, but no answer came. Instead, she reached into the torn lining of her dress and pulled out a small silver locket, dented, the hinge nearly broken. She pressed it into his palm and closed his fingers over it. The metal was warm from her skin. He didn't open it. "Not yet. Rest," he said. "We'll talk when you can stand." Her gaze sharpened, like she didn't believe for a second there'd be talking. Colt left her in the stall, stepping out into the cooling night. The town was settling. Saloon piano softened to the sound of boots on boardwalk, the hiss of a match as someone lit a pipe. He flipped the locket open. Inside was a faded photograph, edges curling. A young man in cavalry blue. Beside him a woman, smiling, holding a baby swaddled in cloth. The baby's face was almost gone, blurred away by time. A floorboard creaked behind him. Colt turned, hand going to the gun at his hip. A man leaned in the doorway, all easy grin and eyes too sharp to match it. "Heard you rode in with something worth hiding." Colt didn't move his hand from the Colt. "You hear wrong." The man's smile widened, but it didn't touch his eyes. "I never hear wrong." He tipped his hat, and melted back into the shadows. The locket felt heavy in Colt's pocket now, like a weight that would pull him under. Back inside, the woman was gone. Straw still warm where she'd been lying. A single footprint marked the dirt floor, small, bare, headed toward the open night. And in the doorway beyond, the wind carried a sound that didn't belong to wind at all. Soft, low, and coming closer. A horse's trot. Slow, deliberate. Then it stopped. The sound of that lone horse in the street bled into the quiet like a slow leak of menace. Colt eased the barn door shut and stepped into the shadows between the livery and the cooper's shed. His boots found the packed dirt without a sound, every step measured. The rider came into view under the weak spill of lamplight from the saloon porch. Broad-shouldered, coat flaring just enough to show the edge of a rifle slung low. The man's face was hidden under the brim of his hat, but the way he scanned the street told Colt everything. This one wasn't looking for a drink. Colt's eyes swept the alley. No sign of her. Just the smell of horses and the faint, sweet tang of fresh straw from the stall she'd been in. He moved along the back of the buildings, keeping the stranger in his periphery, until the sound of soft feet on what made him freeze. She was there, crouched by the rain barrel behind the general store, one hand on the rim, like she'd been about to climb in and hide. Her hair stuck to her face in dark strands, her eyes wide, searching. "You run from me. You run into worse," Colt said low. She flinched at the sound, but didn't speak. "You know that rider?" A pause. She shook her head, but too quick, too certain. The hoofbeat stopped. Colt didn't turn, just watched her face as the rider's boots hit the ground with a soft thump. Her jaw tightened, lips parting as if she might say something. Then she shut it again. Colt stepped closer, close enough to smell the iron tang of dried blood in her hair. "Stay behind me." They moved together through the narrow gap between buildings. The rider's shadow fell long ahead of them, stretching toward the stable. Colt's hand settled on the worn grip of his revolver. "Evening." The man called without turning. Colt didn't answer. "You look like a man guarding something," the stranger went on. His voice was smooth, unhurried, the kind that carried a smile even when the mouth didn't. "That's so." The man half-turned, enough of the light to catch a mouthful of easy teeth. "And I look like a man who wants to know what." Colt stepped into the light, the woman behind him. "Then you're looking in the wrong place." The man's gaze flicked over Colt's shoulder. "Don't seem that way to me." Her breath caught, and Colt felt it more than heard it. He saw the moment recognition flared in her eyes. Something sharp, something afraid, and she took a step back. The stranger's hand brushed the stock of his rifle. "Name's Boone." He let it hang there, like it should mean something. It did. Colt had heard the name in camp fireside whispers years back, spoken by men who didn't spook easy. Boone didn't just kill, he unmade folks. "You got no call to be in Cotton Bend," Colt said. Boone's smile stayed. "Got a call to be wherever my quarry's running. Now," he tipped his head toward the woman. "She owes me something. I aim to take it back." The wind shifted, carrying the smell of rain that would never fall. "Not tonight," Colt said. Boone's eyes cooled, the grin gone. "You're going to make it hard. I'll just take her in pieces." Colt drew before the words finished, the click of the hammer loud as a door slamming shut. The woman's hand closed tight on his sleeve. "No!" she breathed, so soft he almost missed it. In that hesitation, Boone moved, not for his rifle, but for the knife at his belt. The shot split the street, echo rolling into the dark hills. Boone staggered, hand to his side, then straightened with a laugh that had no humor. "We'll finish this, Colt. You know we will." He stepped backward into dark, swallowed by it. The woman trembled against him. "You gonna tell me now?" Colt asked. Her gaze drifted past him, toward the road Boone had taken. "If I tell you," she whispered, "you'll wish you'd let him have me." The wind carried the rattle of distant thunder, but the sky was dry as bone. A sharp crack came from the hills. A rifle this time, far off but aimed. The bullet hit the post beside Colt's head, splintering wood. He shoved her toward the alley. "Run." The desert swelled black around them, heat still rising off the stones though the sun was long gone. Colt pushed them hard through the wash, the woman stumbling but keeping pace. Her breath rasped in the dark, the sound swallowed by the canyon walls. When they stopped at last, it was in the hollow of a dry creek bed, the moonlight thin as knife edge on the sand. Colt crouched, scanning the ridges. Boone could track like a wolf, and a rifle in the hills meant they had minutes at best. "You hurt?" he asked. She shook her head, but the way she cradled her side told him otherwise. Colt dug in his coat pocket, fingers brushing the dented silver locket. He thought about handing it back, then closed his fist around it. "Tell me what he wants from you." Her eyes flashed in the dark. "Same thing all men like him want, blood or the price of it." "Your blood." She didn't answer. Instead, she sat on a flat stone and began working at the torn seam of her dress. Colt saw then the jagged scar that slanted across her hip. Old, pale at the edges, but ugly in a way that said it had been made by something meant for killing. That wasn't Boone's work. Colt said. "No," she paused, eyes somewhere far away. "That was the Army's." The night thickened between them. Colt knew the shape of that truth, without needing more words. The photograph in the locket, the cavalry blue, it all tilted towards something he didn't want to name. She drew her knees up, wrapping her arms tight around them. "They took me. Boone found me after. Saved you." Her laugh was low, bitter. "He kept me alive so he could decide how I die." Colt settled across from her, the rifle laid across his knees. He should have left her in Cotton Bend. He should have. The sound cut through the night, stone rolling under a boot. He was on his feet before she moved, scanning the ridge. Nothing but shadow. The wind shifted, carrying the faintest trace of tobacco smoke. "Get down." They stayed still until the smell thinned. When he eased back to the creek bed, she was watching him, not afraid this time, but measuring. "You've been hunted before," she said. "Maybe. And you lost someone." His jaw worked. "What makes you think that?" "The way you watch the dark like it owes you something." Colt didn't answer. Silence stretched, heavy as the heat. Then she spoke again, voice softer now. "If we make it to the river, we can lose in the rocks." But she hesitated, eyes slipping from his to her hands. "I'm not running from me anymore." "What does that mean?" Her fingers twisted in the fabric of her dress. The words came so low he barely caught them. "I'm carrying a child." The air went still. Even the wind seemed to stop. Colt stared, the weight of it settling on him like fresh dirt on a grave. "Boone's." She met his eyes, and for the first time he saw shame there. Not for herself, but for what the world would think. No, it shouldn't have mattered, but it did. It mattered too much. Far off, a coyote yipped, the sound breaking the moment. Colt rose, slinging the rifle over his shoulder. "We move at first light." She didn't speak, but when she lay down, she turned her face toward him, as if to keep watch herself. The moon had dropped low when it came, the faint metallic click of a rifle being cocked, close enough to hear the breath of the man holding it. Colt's eyes snapped open. A shadow slid over the edge of the creek bed, and Boone's voice whispered in the dark. "Now we settle it." The whisper slid to the dark like a blade. Boone's voice, close enough to taste the dust off his breath. Colt's hand was already on the Colt .45, the weight familiar, the metal cold as creek water. The woman didn't move, though he felt the jolt in her body. Her eyes were wide, catching the moonlight, and in them he saw something that wasn't fear so much as resignation. "Easy now." Boone drawled from the lip of the creek bed. "Ain't here for a chase tonight. I'm here for an ending." Colt shifted his stance, boots digging into the sand. "Only end here's yours." A pause, then the scrape of boots on stone as Boone slid down into the wash, rifle cradled loose in his hands. "You always talk this much when you're scared." The woman's voice cut between them, low and sharp. "He's not scared of you, Boone." Boone's smile was a pale slash in the dark. "That right? Guess we'll see." Colt stepped forward, putting himself between them. The air was tight, charged. Somewhere far off, thunder muttered against the mountains. "I don't want her," Boone said suddenly, eyes fixed on Colt. "Not anymore. Not after what I heard." Colt didn't speak. Boone tilted his head. Word is she's Carrie in. Which means what I want now is you watching her die. The world narrowed to the hollow between heartbeats. Colt fired first. Boone dropped low, the shot slicing past his shoulder. His return blast shattered rock inches from Colt's head, showering grit into his hair. The woman scrambled back toward the shadows of the cottonwoods. Boone pivoted toward the movement. Too slow. Colt's second shot tore through his coat, catching flesh beneath. Boone stumbled, but didn't fall. You never could finish a thing. Boone hissed, lifting his rifle. Colt charged, slamming into him. They hit the sand hard, the rifle clattering away. Boone's knife flashed, catching moonlight before Colt caught his wrist. They grappled, breath loud, teeth bared like animals. Boone's free hand raked across Colt's cheek, hot blood spilling into his beard. Colt twisted hard, the knife turning, sinking home, low, just under the ribs. Boone's breath hitched, wet and ragged. They locked eyes. Boone's grin came back. Faint but there. She'll still die, he rasped. Colt shoved him off, the body hitting the sand with a dull thump. The woman stood at the edge of the wash, one hand over her mouth, the other over her belly. You all right? Colt asked. She nodded, but her gaze wasn't on him. It was on the dark beyond the ridge. They'll come, she said. Who? Her answer was a whisper. The ones I ran from before Boone found me. The sky cracked open with lightning, lighting the ridge for a split second. Silhouettes lined the crest. Too many. Colt's grip tightened on the revolver. The wind rose, carrying the smell of rain that still refused to fall. From the ridge, a voice called down, cold, official, and far too familiar. Turn the woman over, Colt. You know why? He did, and it broke something in him. The woman stepped closer, her fingers brushing his. If you give me up, you live, she murmured. If you don't, I'm already dead, he said. Lightning flared again. The first shot cracked, and Colt moved,